What's up, everybody? Troy Cartwright here. Welcome back to another episode of 10-Year Town, our very first episode of 2024. I can't believe it. We've got so much amazing stuff planned for this year. A couple housekeeping items before we get started. We have some plans and events that we don't want you guys to miss that are starting to take shape. The best way to stay connected is to join our community at 10yeartown.com. We also have a new Q&A episode coming up, so make sure you got those questions submitted also at 10yeartown.com. Thanks. Today's guest is Jessi Alexander. Jessi is an amazing songwriter who has written a ton of songs that are the soundtrack to your life, including The Climb, recorded by Miley Cyrus, I Drive Your Truck, recorded by Lee Brice, Mine Would Be You, recorded by Shelton, and so many more. I learned so much about Jessi in this episode. I was really inspired by her story and her willingness to constantly reinvent herself. Without further ado, here she is, Jessi Alexander. So I always start this thing off with the same question, which is, how long have you been in town?
For sure, like over 25 years.
Wow.
Yeah, a really long time.
That's awesome.
I was at MTSU and quit.
Okay.
I was a dropout.
How long? How long did you make it?
I went for 4 years, which was ridiculous.
Okay.
So stupid. It was a lot of wasted years because I always thought, God, if I'd moved here, I would have gotten, things would have happened a lot quicker. But
yeah,
it's all part of the journey.
That's right.
But no, I was a social work major. I was a history major.
Oh, so you weren't
No. Because at that time at MTSU, you had two paths. You could either be a music business person, business affairs and business.
Yeah.
Or you could do engineering, which back in the day is MIDI and real techie. And there wasn't a role for me. In the music department, you had to be theory driven. I was self-taught,
right,
playing in bar bands, just had no training. I'm definitely not business oriented, and I'm definitely not necessarily a studio rat. I understand production, and I'm very, very familiar with the studio now. But
right.
There just wasn't a way. There was no songwriting major, which there is now, which is so great.
Yeah.
So it just came time, and I was just floundering. I was social work. I kind of ran that course. History was a passion of mine, and I just had so many jobs. When I say, it's annoying if anybody that knows me well, they're like, oh, let me guess, you work there, because I'm always if we ride by Subway, work there,
Right.
Sears, work there, coffee shop, work there. I did everything except be a server, which is the one thing most people do.
I know,
but
that's
I worked at a car auction. I worked at a dry cleaner. I would have 3 jobs going and playing in a band at night and going to school because I had to pay my own way.
Okay.
So it was just a ridiculous thing because I'm trying to I'm so blue collar in the way I think that I felt I can do it all. I can work, go to school, do that little school thing,
Yeah, you can fit it all in.
But it was actually one of the professors, I started to take some music business classes because I was already kind of dabbling in production, and people are hearing my voice on campus, and they're like, hey, will you come sing our demo?
Gotcha.
So I was getting involved in the music department, and one of the teachers said, I need to see you after class. And I was like, oh God, what's wrong? I was like, I know something bad.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know how to tell you this, and I don't know if it's going to hurt your feelings or liberate you, but I think you need to quit school.
No way.
Literally.
Wow.
And I was like, what? He was like, just quit. He's like, you're already driving to Nashville every night. You already know people. You just need to cut the ties and go.
Wow.
And it's almost I needed
that
someone
push
to say that. Nobody had said that to me. And it was true. The second I got here, it was yes, this is who I am. This is what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
But if it hadn't been for Dr. Pekarsky, I've given him lots of shout outs over the years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Where did you move? Where were you before? Where'd you grow up? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm from West Tennessee.
Okay.
Jackson's where I was born, but
Gotcha.
I, like most tortured artists, songwriters, have a checkered path afterwards where my parents got divorced. I went and spent, my mom remarried and we lived in Georgia for a while.
Gotcha.
So I have some Georgia roots too.
Okay.
And then relocated again outside of Murfreesboro.
Gotcha.
And then MTSU,
yeah.
and then moved here. So I'm Tennessee, Georgia.
Gotcha.
But I claim West Tennessee kind of as my roots.
It's your spiritual home.
Exactly.
So to speak.
Exactly.
That's awesome. So I guess you drop out of school.
Yes.
And then did you what's the move isn't that far, right? But it's like a mindset change.
100%.
So did you just like move
it
somewhere
was
in Nashville?
So true. It's like so close, yet so far away. I mean, I really didn't know anybody. All the people that I knew that were in the music world were all like BJ Hill. He was still at Luke Laird. Like all those people were still at MTSU.
Yeah.
I was like the one that's like, hey, I'm out of here. I'm quitting.
Yeah.
And I'm done. And so much that I didn't even have like a roommate figured out. Like, I mean, I got randomly placed with somebody, this guy that we just like found an apartment, and he was in like the animation, and I was just, we were using MTSU's resources to help me figure out what to do. But I just started to look at how I am now is exactly how I was then. It was very blue collar. Like I would wake up and be like, what can I do today?
Yeah.
What can I do to further this thing? And what people don't realize is like how it came to songwriting, because people hear me sing and they're like, you should be a singer. But I didn't really care, truly, if I was a singer, songwriter, backup singer, was really what I wanted to do. Probably
Really?
if I had to pick, I would love singing harmony and sang in all these bands.
Yeah.
But the way I left MTSU, I had one like quote, like one mantra, and it's like, I just want to make a living making music.
Yeah.
I know it sounds like bare bones.
But that's a very clear goal.
It wasn't like, I want to be a star, I want to tour the world. I mean, literally it was that. I was so tired of, at that time, working at the car auction and some of these other jobs that I was like, I want to make money, but I just don't want to do it doing any of this. And so when you move here with that, it's kind of a little catch-22 because you don't have a focus. You're kind of meandering. Like I would take backup singing auditions, but then I'd try to sing on demos, and then I'd have people saying, you should try out for this. Like I just didn't really know. I just knew that I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
And I
makes
knew that I
sense.
had a gift or something. There's something calling me. So to answer your question, when I got here, I just started auditioning for backup singing. That was the easiest thing for me to work towards because that's what I'd been doing. But demo singing, you got to realize too, the whole female in the 90s, they were crushing.
Right.
I got here right when that was over.
Yeah.
And so it was like, I really wanted like Trisha Yearwood cuts and Patty Loveless cuts and all that, and wound up being fortunate to have songs on those records, but they were the records that it was hard, times are changing.
Yeah. Those waves had sort of crested. So yeah.
And so being a female singer wasn't necessarily like we're signing a bunch of those,
Yeah.
But
how did you what was your first cut? Do you remember?
Yeah, I think so. I want to say that. So at that time, I was singing backup for a guy named Matt King, and he was on Atlantic. And I want to, because your great podcast is called 10-Year Town. So I want to tell the story of thinking that it was going to be a 6-month town.
As we all do.
Right. And how that happened for me was I got here and literally, I'd maybe been around Nashville like 2 days, and I saw, or someone told me about a Reba McEntire audition for a backup singer. I was like, perfect. That's great. I'm like 20. I don't think I'd turned 21 yet.
Okay.
So I'm like, perfect. I'm on the road. I've already like I said, I'd been in a lot of bands, horn bands, backup singing. I'd been with large piece females voices, so I was like, I'm ready for this. Put me out with Reba. But when I got there, I found out that you had to dance as well. And that's not my forte. So
gotcha.
I'm standing outside of this Coke machine at SIR, and there's this guy. He's like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "Oh man, I just blew this audition. I just didn't get it." He's like, "Well, I'm a new artist. I need a backup singer. I've actually been looking for someone that's kind of like Emmylou Harris that can maybe play guitar or tambourine and sing." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Come audition right now." Literally thought it was going to be the Cinderella story. You know?
Yeah.
I go in the audition, nail it. Everything's great. I get hired. I'm literally on my first tour bus heading to Beaumont 2 days later.
No way.
And just to come home to play the Grand Ole Opry as his backup singer.
Wow.
I mean, it all just seems like there's boxes still not unpacked at my little apartment, you know? So it is weird how I thought that's what it was going to be.
Right.
And then it wasn't. He gets dropped, all that falls apart.
Yeah, how long were
we toured? I toured probably almost a year with him.
Okay.
But during that time, he really showed me, because he was getting pitched all these great songs, and he'd be like, "You need to hear Sean Camp. You need to hear John Scott Sherrill. Have you ever heard of, Verlin Tom?" All this music. And when he would listen through demos getting pitched, I'd be like, "Who is that? Who is that?"
Yeah.
And then he'd be like, "Play me something you've written," because I'd already started writing songs. And I think it was really him introducing me to his publisher at Warner Chappell and going, this girl that sings backups writing songs,
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I got my publishing deal.
Yeah, so he made some introductions.
Yeah. And so I got signed, but as we say, a 6-month town, 10-year town, it was right when I got signed, the company was taken over by, I think it was Apple or something. It was a whole thing at Warner that happened back then.
Gotcha.
And so the guy that signed me got let go.
Yeah, and then
drifting. I was literally in no man's land.
Yeah.
For 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 years.
What did the deals look like? Was it years?
Yeah.
Type of
thing. Yeah,
similar. Okay, similar to now.
Say, so many 3-year deal or I think it was 3-year deal.
Yeah.
A big bonus because they looked at me kind of like an artist.
I see.
And I didn't know. Like I said, all I'm thinking about is I don't really know what I'm going to do, but I just know I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
So you wanted me to do this? I can do it. I'm just kind of figuring it out. And anyway, to answer your question, through Matt King and through that time and period, I got to know Sonia Isaacs, who's a dear friend of mine. And she recorded a song that Trisha Yearwood wound up recording years later, but she recorded a song and put it out on radio. During those first couple years, I got to hear that. And it was just such a thrill,
Of course. Yeah.
But I just had a lot of voices coming at me. I think when you're brand new and you don't know, you haven't walked around in your big girl shoes, it's I don't know. I'm still so young. And I would have these people saying, you should do this and you should do that. You should change, you should make a record, Yeah. You don't know.
You don't know.
Yeah.
And that's so hard when you're new to town.
Yes.
Be it you're a young artist, a young songwriter, whatever you're doing. It's there's so many voices and opinions of you should just do this.
Right.
You should write this kind of song or make this kind of record or wear your hair this way or whatever. And it's I feel like it took me a long time for just to even realize I just need to people tell you, be yourself.
Yeah.
It's actually really hard.
Yeah, because you might not know who you are at 20.
I mean, I think most people don't,
30. Yeah, it's a tall order.
Yeah, and I think I don't know, maybe I never get to know. Maybe it's just sort of, I'm always trying to stay as true to what I think I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Right? And that kind of is the path, but it's hard work.
It is hard work.
It's hard to be yourself.
Yes.
right?
It's hard to be authentic and really figure out, or just tell yourself, like, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it to the best of my ability.
Yeah.
And there were some hard years. I mean, after that guy left, a new plugger came in, and then, bless his heart, he's looking at me and all the debt that I'd made at Warner Chapel.
Yeah.
And those were hard years, because like I said, I thought I had it.
Mm-hmm. And you'd had a song kind of on radio at this point?
So through the first 3 years of that Warner Chapel deal was just, trying to figure it out, starting to think about making a record. Someone submitted me for a Grammy showcase. They were doing the Best Unsigned Artist of Nashville.
Oh, wow.
And Regeyer submitted me for that. And so I get a phone call, and they're like, you've been, submitted to do this. And you should I don't know what is, like, play a showcase or something. And I was like, ooh, okay, I can put a band together. And I ended up doing this gig and winning.
Oh, wow.
Like,
it was like a competition.
Yeah, it was like best unsigned artist. And I was like, whoa, and it just sent me into artists. Like, because with that, you won, like, free, time with a lawyer, time with Flood Bumstead, who is now still my business manager, a photo shoot, all these things to get you up and running. Yeah. And at the judges that night, one of them was one of the heads of MCA, Tony Brown, and he loved what I did. And so another seems like going to be a Cinderella story. Like, I kind of got a deal pretty quick. Yeah. But right about the time that I got comfortable in that recording deal, that guy got let go. Like, literally, if you went through I haven't even gotten started. Like, I can't even tell you all the publishing companies that came after that I signed for this person, and then they left, and it folded. I mean, it's kind of become a little bit of a comedy. Yeah. But I got the deal pretty quickly, but then stepping into the role of artist for sure was hard and felt a little awkward. Yeah. It's not I love to sing. I love to be on stage. I love singing to people. But just there's so much more that goes on.
Yeah, politics, radio people,
exposing yourself, connecting with artists, connecting with fans, and just like I said, the monotony of it didn't interest me. Yeah. Songwriting is so fun because I get to, every day is completely different. Yeah. And I think that's what I didn't like about my day jobs. Was it desk job or Subway or all these places, it's just, I like changing it up. Yeah. It really suits my personality. Yeah. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, all right. So it sounds like, so you have published deal, then you have this record deal, and then you're like,
the record deal. Yeah.
At some point you're like, all right, it's not for me.
Well, I end up getting signed, do that. And like I said, the label that I signed to wasn't even the label anymore. And this record had gotten so old, and, and things are changing in Nashville. Like, I got to finally get the right team in place, and they launched my song literally the same week on the same label as Redneck Woman, Gretchen Wilson. Yeah. So, like, I was kind of like folky, like singer-songwriter, probably what Americana or what Kristen Stapleton has gone on to do, like Casey Musgraves, all that, but none of that. I mean, at that time, we had like Sheryl Crow, who was like rock, and you had like Lucinda Williams, and that wasn't around. Yeah. So I was leaned a little more like that, and Redneck Woman, just as we all know, just changed everything.
Took over.
It really did, and I hung around trying to do it, but through those years, like me and Miranda, we were together on the same label. Yeah. Dirk Bentley was one of my best new friends. I was at his first showcase. Like, all of us in Little Big Town, we were in rooms right next to each other before they even had a band name. Like, it's just, I look at those years as they were just really good growth years. And I got my grit. I got my perseverance down, because
you're gonna need.
It was a lot of like, stop, no, go, no, stop, no, go, a lot of mixed signals and not unfocused and
So relatable.
yeah.
It's
And it's just like, and it gives me such a great perspective working with artists now because I know I've been there and I know that frustration.
Well, it's like, I always tell people I felt like my experience was like I was a human cannonball.
Yeah.
And I was sitting in the cannon and
Yeah.
people just kept yelling down the thing like, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Right? Like, just wait.
Just
it's
hang
going to
in
be
there.
so awesome. We're going to launch you. You're going to change the world. And, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It just never went that way.
Yeah.
And you're like, you have to find the grit, right? The fortitude to go, oh my God.
Yeah.
I got to figure this out, And you just kind of got to keep going.
Absolutely. And you got to really want it. Yeah. And see, I just didn't. Like there
Was that hard to
there was
realize?
some part of me that just didn't. And I mean, I think about it. I was not a very good athlete because of that. Like, I would be like, well, the team's just better than us. Like, that's why they win. I remember my teammates and coaches being like, or I'd just be real nonchalant. Like, I wasn't driven enough to be an artist. I mean, you've got to have a laser focus. It's hard.
Yeah.
And I just didn't, I was too casual in it. Now, what's funny is, as a songwriter, I can definitely take on that intensity.
Really?
But as an artist, I never had it. And I can remember where I was in San Francisco, literally the side of the road I was sitting on when I called the curb and called my manager and just said, because we were waiting on, I'd gotten merged again.
Gotcha.
And we started MCA, then we were MCA Mercury, then we were Universal, and then went back to, BMG. I mean, it was just one of those.
Yeah.
So it's been like, I'd lost like 4 years of my life through this.
Yeah.
And I remember calling him and just saying like, you don't even have to wonder anymore if they're going to drop me, like I'm out.
Wow.
And I still write about it. I write about that moment a lot because it was the most freeing,
Really?
no tear cried, nothing bitter, all sweet. I mean, it was like I stood up. I remember standing up as a blue sky, and I just changed my life, and for the better.
Wow.
And I never looked back, and it never was sad. It never felt like, God, I can't believe I did that. It was just ripe in time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's so beautiful. It's like I'm a little bit emotional right now.
I get it. It really made me sad it's almost like a relationship that you should have left a long time ago. It was broken.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. It was like all I needed to do was say goodbye. And the second I did, it was like, yes, now your life, now God can really give me the fruit to the labor.
Yeah.
It's not just going to be the labor.
Yeah.
And right away, a new me emerged truly. And that person has been in the forward driver's seat since that second. Because it wasn't like, I'm not going down without a fight. Like,
Right.
I'm still going to crack this code.
Yeah.
It's just not going to be that way.
Yeah, you're gonna do it
I've
your
played
way.
it by y'all's rules. I felt like I was tossed around and people kind of shined me up and put me in this box that I needed to be in. But I felt like me and my gut knew, like, I'm supposed to do something else.
Yeah.
But I didn't know it was going to take another 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah. So what did you like?
So no record deal, no publishing deal. 6 years of my life's over.
Yep.
And I'm 20, whatever, at that time.
Yeah.
So at that time, I started dating my now husband, John Randall, and he was killing it as a songwriter. He had just won for Whiskey Lullaby Song of the Year. Like, and I'm thinking, we're probably going to get married, we're going to have kids, I'm starting to think I've given it 6 years. Like, I've done my best. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but he's really killing it. So maybe I'm just going to take a step back. And we call it the year of like of no, where we're like, we're not going to do anything we don't want to do.
Yeah.
We're just going to, because he'd been through a bunch of record deals too. And we're like, we're just going to make music we love. We're going to do things we love. And I just started writing like kind of my roots type of songs, like more traditional country. I grew up with a lot of kinds of music, but like my go-to is traditional country. So that's what I kind of started writing, and I got my second publishing deal through that.
Gotcha.
And I was signed to Disney with Lisa Ramsey signed me, but it was like Mark Nessler and Philip White and all these really traditional country type singers. And Sonia Isaacs was there, and just it felt like home.
Yeah.
And coming from a big company like Warner Chappell, it was fun to go to a little small company and just really fit right into the day-to-day songwriting life.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And so that was good, but that didn't mean anything. Like, because here's the problem. Anytime someone's booked with me and they see, because Lisa's like, I got to get you some rights. No one wants to write with me because I'm a washed up artist that got dropped. Nobody wants to write, So she's like pulling all the stuff. Like, who could she put me with? I'd kind of run my course with all the people that had written for me, with me for the record. They're done with me,
Yep. I'm like, you're like, this is like chicken noodle soup for me right now.
So you'll see like a common thread as well. My story is reinventing myself. Like this was another one of those moments of like, oh shit, like I gotta prove to these people that I'm a songwriter.
Yeah.
That I'm not just a singer. Like, even though I wrote my whole record, but I have to earn my keep.
Yeah.
And so, boy, I got busy. I mean, I just really dug deep. And, when you want to leave, the right stayed. And when you don't want to write with that person because you think it's going to be awkward, you write. You want someone starts the second song of the day, you write the second song. Like, I took it on like it was a full-time job, and I was going to, get my overtime.
You're going to make it work?
And I was going to make it work.
Yeah.
And so those years were a grind for sure, but I wrote some great songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was like the first big break as a songwriter? Do you remember, like, is it hard to say, or?
It's crazy to say because it's like towards the middle of that publishing deal, like maybe the second year in, I'm like, ooh, writing's on the wall, like
clock's ticking.
Clock's ticking. They're gonna can me, like, and like I said, JR's crushing it, and I'm really itching to be a mom one day, and we're gonna get married, and I think he had even proposed at that time. Like, it's happening, and I think a little baby part of me started to think maybe I'm not supposed to do this. Like, truly, it's been almost 9 years, and he's killing it. So he can provide, and I'm just trying to step into something. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And that's when I started what I would call throw in Hail Mary passes. Rights that just whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just working through your deal. You're just, and that's when I got booked to write with John Mabe, who I'd been writing with his wife, Connie Harrington. But John Mabe, he was a plugger, that I'd heard about, and we met, and we had written, I don't know if this is our first write or handful of writes after, but I came in to the write that day. I was just on the way to work and thinking about, who am I going to call or what radio station? And it was like, no, there's a voice in me like, don't listen to anything. Listen to, find a melody.
Yeah.
You don't even know what you're going to do today. I felt unprepared. And I just started singing this melody and like walk into his studio. Like, he's got GarageBand. I'm like, get your guitar, I need a guitar fast. Yeah. And I start playing these changes because I sang it all the way there. Just don't want to forget. I kept thinking, it sounds classic. Like, what is it? And that's when we wrote the melody for The Climb.
Wow.
Yeah. And so it was weird because I didn't think anything about it.
Yeah.
We actually had an artist as a third that day that came in, and she said the fateful words like, I don't want to write a ballad. I have too many ballads. I want to write a honky tonk song.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn it, this idea that I had coming in the door is not honky tonk, you know?
Yeah.
So I picked up my guitar, started playing a shuffle, and we wrote her a honky tonk song.
Yeah.
And then she left, and I was like, I need to hear that song, that melody again. And it was too late in the day to write it that day, but I remember going to the BMI and ASCAP Awards that year, and it being another year, 9 years, that I went to an award show, and was so happy for my friends. Like, when I say I'm happy for my friends, like, there's nobody happier. I literally can, like, when I go to someone's number one party that I love, I feel it. I love it.
Yeah.
But I just got a little tired of going to those without a red ribbon, you know, without, and it started really getting to me. And I remember thinking that night that, you know, but what if it happened so quick? What if I was like some of these other people that are just getting up there for the first time? They've only been here 6 months.
Yeah.
You know, I remember thinking, but I wouldn't have any of the journey, like the depth, wouldn't have the passion that I have.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the line, the climb, but I definitely had the thoughts of like, I wouldn't want it to happen overnight. I wouldn't want it any other way.
Yeah.
So when we got back together and wrote The Climb, I didn't think anything about it.
Yeah.
Until Lisa Ramsey, that great song plugger, she heard that Hannah Montana, they were coming here to film that movie. And she was like, what the heck, you know, like, you're going to have a movie about country, you know, music, Nashville, in Franklin, Tennessee, and you're not going to have country songwriters write the songs.
Yeah.
So she did the most amazing thing and went around the Disney people, found the director of the movie, invited him over to our little publishing company, and had a guitar pull for him. Like, we had beer in a bucket and passed around a guitar. We played a bunch of dirt country. So all the writers there were very traditional.
Yeah. And
he just really loved my voice and said, hey, before I leave, can you just put something on a CD? Like, 'cause I just want to listen to your voice.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, this is it. If I'm going to pitch to Hannah Montana, which, by the way, I didn't even know who Hannah Montana was. You know, it was like pre-kids. Like, I didn't know anything about that. And I was like, if I've got anything Disney or pop, this is it.
This is the one. Yeah.
And I put a song on there. At that time, it was called It's the Climb, and it was John Mabe singing it. Like, it was third person. It was totally not necessarily a pointed pitch.
Yeah.
But sure enough, he called me and he said, if you'll rewrite this song, I will change your life. That's exactly what he said.
No way.
And I said, oh, honey, because he's from London.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, hon, you are so sweet. You just don't understand how it works here. Like, because you don't understand, like, people like me don't get that. Like, someone in LA is going to get the big feature song.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I'm going to rewrite the script, and she's going to play the song in the movie, and then it's going to be the end title. And I was like, yeah, that's really sweet.
Yeah.
But you need to talk to your folks in LA.
Yeah.
And sure enough, the guy from LA calls. He goes like, if you'll rewrite this song, I'm like, I will rewrite anything you know.
Yeah.
I still didn't believe it until I saw Miley, which is so weird, a year later at the same BMI Awards.
Jeez.
Maybe it's a year, maybe it's 2 years later.
Yeah.
Regardless, I was pregnant at the time. And she walks up to me and she's like, oh my gosh, Jessi, it's about to change your life. We're about to go to 5 formats with The Climb. Wow. And I literally said to her, you are so sweet. I took her hand. I said, you are so sweet. I said, that just doesn't happen. Like, I just couldn't. I'd had the rug yanked out so many times.
Yeah,
I just did
guarded.
not believe them. I did not believe them. Oh my God. And what's really sweet is January 22nd, the day that my daughter was born, was the day I watched in the hospital Miley Cyrus sing it at the Barack Obama inauguration ball. Wow. So it was truly like the birth of me as a songwriter, me as a mom, like, game on, you know?
Wow.
And so that was 10 years though. So that's why I love your podcast, because it is 10 years. It's like
That's crazy.
10-year town.
Yeah. I mean, that's such a special story.
Yeah.
That's like insane.
It truly is insane.
So it's like so many years of frustration, and then it's like, oh, here's like, and he was right. It did change your life.
1,000%.
Yeah. And so like, what is that ride like, being a part of a song like that? Like, was that actually the first time that she played it?
Yeah. It was like when she exposed,
Had
to
the movie
world.
come out? Had it come out yet, or?
I don't think so. I don't
Okay.
remember.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Gotcha. So it was just like.
It was just, like, you just don't understand, though. I'm a brand new mom. I knew nothing about, I didn't babysit growing up. I didn't have brothers and sisters. I didn't take care of my cousin, I'm in like brand new territory.
Yeah.
And I can't deal with this explosion that's going on in my life.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah, how to be a mom.
How to be a mom, how to swaddle. I mean, it's just like basics, And so I really just, those 3 months, the first 3 months are just a blur.
Yeah.
It was everywhere, though. I mean, I would turn on pop radio. I'd never listened to pop radio in my life. I'm like, turn it on. There's my song.
Yeah.
I'm having people come out of the woodwork, people I went to high school with, or, just all of it. The most interesting part, though, was I thought that it would just be like this key that I'd been missing to unlock the doors of Nashville. But it wasn't. It was basically like I felt like everyone thought, oh, see, you should have been writing pop music all along. That's what you do. That's what you do.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it was like weird. It's like, but I'm not really a pop writer, and I'm not really.
Yeah.
I have always loved writing inspirational music, and I enjoy gospel music, and I love, that kind of truth telling.
Yeah.
So that's not very far fetched. But as far as being a Disney, right. franchise writer is like not anything I would have ever dreamed of.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was life changing.
Yeah.
I had to reinvent myself though again in 2010 and 2011, because then everyone just wanted to write that with me.
Yeah. And are you getting like, I'm sure you're getting like crazy, because I always ask people like, oh, you get the first one. Most people's number ones are like, not like the biggest song in the world.
Yeah.
But like how, I'm sure it put you in some rooms that
put me in rooms, but not rooms I ever thought I'd, not like, it really opened a lot of LA doors. And I would go to LA, and, Disney LA is like, bring the baby out here, like, come write. Like, gosh, we've got Cinderella, we've got Tinkerbell, like, we've got this show. Like, they'd been kind of looking for what they called a top liner, which I didn't even know what was. Yeah. And to me, it was kind of easy. I was like, oh, you just get to write melodies, and
this is awesome.
It was. I do love what I loved about Disney, and I still love to this day, is I do love a focus. I like, here's this movie, here's the script, and the same right now. Here's this artist, here's what they don't have. Like, I like that.
Yeah.
So going out to LA at first was just, I felt like just country came to town. I knew nothing about, they'd be referencing, artists at that time, and I would have no idea. Like huge artists, like Lady Gaga or something. And I literally eat, sleep, and breathe Southern rock, traditional country music, and like 90s hip hop.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't go much further than those three things.
Yeah.
I don't listen. I don't know what's the new thing ever. So it was funny, like those years, which didn't last long, I felt like an imposter. And it really made me so confused. I'm like, am I not a country songwriter?
Yeah.
Am I a pop writer? I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
And so I did get some time in London. I wrote for Celine Dion and got a cut on that record. There were some really cool highlights of that era, but it also was very like my home life, like sleepless nights with a baby, learning out, just a grind.
Yeah.
But to answer your big question, the climb, literally changed my life.
Yeah.
It put me on the map and got me in the game. It just felt a little like odd.
Yeah. It's like a little bit different than what you thought.
What I thought it would be. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But you've had some, I guess, great country music moments since
Yeah.
then.
I think that's when the more I traveled out there, I was like, I don't want to go out there.
Yeah.
I've got to figure out how to make it work in Nashville. And that's the year that I wrote my publishers and said, I don't want to write with any more females. I don't want to sing. I no longer am a singer.
Yeah.
I'm about to walk in the door January 1 and be a male songwriter in my brain. And I'm going to write male songs. Like, I'm done with the dreams and the wings and the, it's back to my roots of, chiseled in stones, what I came here to write. He stopped loving her today.
Yeah.
I will always love you. Like, that's who I am as a songwriter.
Yeah.
And that was what my focus was. But the problem is, like I said earlier, I had to reinvent myself. I had to walk in the door. One of my first writes of that year was Rodney Clawson, Two Way. And I'm sure he's thinking,
what am I doing here?
What am I doing here? And why am I with her? And the whole time I'm like, no, I'm not singing. What do you want to do? You pick up the guitar.
Yeah.
One of the other writes, and we wrote Drink on it like pretty soon after for Blake Shelton, just like that. The biggest story that came from this era was I had Connie Harrington on my book, just Two Way.
Yep.
And I couldn't cancel Connie because I adore her.
Yeah.
And I was like, if nothing else, we'll just go have lunch and catch up.
Yeah.
And we'd gotten to be even closer through John Mabe. And by this point, I'm pregnant again. And I was like, it'll be a light day. It'll be an easy day. Me and Connie will just hang out. And she brings me the idea for I Drive Your Truck.
Yeah.
So right then and there, it could have been a female song because I was picking up my guitar.
Yeah.
I was playing and singing, but my gut knew absolutely not. If you want to get this song recorded and heard, we have to get a male in here. Wow. And so I was just hell bent, and I'm sure there might have been a little, naysayers out there think it's weird that I don't write with females. It wasn't writing with females. Obviously, Connie and I writing. I wasn't going to write for women anymore.
Right. Well, and the format, especially at that time, was so male skewed. So probably is like, look, if I'm going to be successful, I have to do it this way. And
felt like kind of Carrie had found her people. Miranda had her people. Like, everybody kind of had their girl, and I never had that with an artist. Blake Shelton was the first artist that I felt like when I write just what I want to write and say it the way I want to say it, Blake agree.
It sounds like him.
It sounds like Blake. Yeah. And so he was the first and only artist I feel like truly I have a groove with. Wow. And so those years were a lot of writing for Blake. Mine Would Be You came from that. But I Drive Your Truck really changed my life as well. Just it really put in perspective, yes, this is your sweet spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And such like an impactful song. I think that song means so much to so many people.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's awesome.
It sure means a lot to me.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, man, I got so many questions.
Go.
But I think I'm just really I think what's so inspiring about your story, and, we've written together.
Yeah.
But I know you a little bit, but I think I didn't realize how much of I think it's inspiring that so much of your growth and the things that kind of changed your trajectory or kind of started with saying no to something else, which is very hard to do. I think, especially in the music industry, because we're so hardwired to say yes to everything,
right? To
get as much on the plate as possible, because I know for me it's I remember when there was nothing on the plate.
Yeah, and you're
now there's stuff coming.
Glad to have anything.
Yeah. And then you say yes to too many things, and you've got no focus and whatever. So I don't know. That's really inspiring. I think people will learn a lot from kind of hearing it's okay to say no to certain things.
I hope so. It's scary.
Yeah.
It's risky. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I've missed some big boats, some big artists by,
Really?
like, I don't know. I don't feel it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just tend to follow my gut. If I get jazzed up about an artist or a song on the radio or a new songwriter, like, it's almost like a crush.
Yeah.
I get really jazzed up. And if that doesn't happen for me, then I can still do my job,
Yeah.
I'm a professional.
Sure.
But when I see, like, the dents I've made in my career, like, really some good swings, it's usually like a big passion comes over me. And
Yeah, you have like conviction for
conviction. Thank you.
Yeah.
Like, at that time, I was very convicted, and I'd lost my mom when I was younger, in my early 20s, and from ovarian cancer, and so I really wanted to write about grief. So when that song idea was approached to me, I was like, game on.
Yeah.
This is it. I've always wanted to write about it, and this is it. Or like songs like Drink on It, Mine Would Be You, having a little like makeup sex and all that kind of sexy off-color kind of stuff. I like that. I like doing that in songs. Felt at that time it wasn't being done a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, not playing safe,
Right. It felt like you were taking a risk, basically.
Yeah.
By writing about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then what really excites me is uncharted territory, like an artist that maybe has never written with a female or never recorded a female song. Like that's always neat, just to go, I wonder why, why haven't you? I want to be the first one. Like, how can I bridge the gap between guy and girl?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
I don't see myself as a girl songwriter. I just literally see myself as a songwriter.
Yeah.
But I feel like we've all been a little guilty of being like, oh, we need a female in the room, or we need two guys or one guy, the compartmentalizing songwriting.
Yeah.
But I get passionate about, like, how can what I do help that artist?
Yeah. Which that's the whole game, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
What kind of stuff do you do, like, to get, I don't know. I mean, you kind of talked about what the inspiration is, but, like, is there anything, it's like, do you like to read? Do you, like, what do you,
inspiration.
Do you just write stuff down? Do you have, like, hook book or, like, big voice memos guy?
Oh my God. I don't get as many concepts as I wish.
Yeah.
I definitely am always looking for a great concept writer, because I do really well with someone that has an idea.
Yeah.
Because just like a movie, like a producer or director of a film, like I see it.
Yeah.
Like, I can really visualize it and see it. And I also feel like one of my strengths is, like, editing. But as far as concepts, like, I do not have, like, a long list of hooks, and I might just have a couple, I definitely have, voice memos of me singing, like, all the time.
Yeah.
It drives my kids crazy. I definitely read. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I watch a lot of movies. I try to really stay, like, open to hearing everything.
Yeah.
But in terms of writing for an artist, I definitely try to do my homework.
You do?
Yeah. I don't want to be sitting on a tour bus with the artist and bring up a title and them say, yeah, I actually recorded a song like that 2 records ago.
Yeah.
I think I got burned early on, doing stuff like that. It's like, nope. So what I do is I take their music on as a collection, and I treat myself just like any listener.
Yeah.
And I go, what has not been said by this artist? I'm like a scavenger. I get very investigative, like, how I want to know more. Like, great example, Cole Swindell. He hadn't written a lot with females. Maybe, I don't know if I was the first, but when I found out he didn't, I was like, well, we need to write,
Yeah.
And we wrote one of my favorite songs, Dad's Old Number, me and him and Chase McGill. But the second time around, his second record coming on, I was like, on the tour bus, what has he not done?
Yeah.
Do it. He's never done a collaboration with a female. so right away, I'm like, that's what we should do today.
Yeah.
And it wound up being never say never.
Yeah.
Never say never.
Yeah.
And it was like, that's a great example of me going, not a lot of homework, but enough to go, what has he not done? And how can I be of service today?
Yeah. That's so great.
That's
incredible.
That's basically as far as it goes, though. It was
Yeah.
in terms of, I don't have like 8 songs started. And,
Right.
I try to have enough, but leave it open.
It sounds like you just do a really good job, though, of getting the overall picture and go, maybe I can, here's a place where I can, do work.
Also, really try to find like a hot button that we both have. Like, what's something we have in common? What's something that I can pull from that's similar? An interest or I was just writing with an artist that had kind of a tortured home life, and I thought of a cool title and idea because I was like, oh, I can see him. He's going to see me. Like, we have that.
Yeah.
Similar. And so it's things like that.
Yeah.
Where you just go, I look at it like I have a tool belt and I just keep my tools sharp and I just walk in and I'm like, what do I need to do today? Am I a hammer? Am I a nail? And so that's kind of how I operate.
Yeah.
On a day to day.
Yeah. So like very like blue collar.
Very blue collar.
Mentality.
Yeah.
And
some days I'm writing cabinet. And my grandfather was a carpenter. And so I was like always his little understudy. I loved being around him and his tools. But I can remember there would be days that he'd complaining because he had just to make these custom cabinets that everybody wanted. But every now and then he got to make like this beautiful bench or this beautiful, custom job. And that's the way I feel as a songwriter. I write custom songs.
Yeah.
And then I write songs that are just, they serve their purpose.
Yeah. And both work.
Yes. And I'm so glad I get to do both.
Yeah. What a great job,
Great job.
Yeah. Well, I feel like there's a lot more that we could get to, so maybe you'll come back sometime. Be
Absolutely.
Great. I'd love to have you back. But thank you so much for being here. What just one of my favorite episodes I've ever done. So
good.
Thank you so much. And
thank you.
That's it. That's the pod. See you later. Thanks everybody for listening. Keep rating, keep reviewing, keep subscribing. We love you. Talk to you soon.